this is Richie from the Metal Cell podcast. I am delighted to welcome John from Faroon. How are you, man?
I'm good, Richie. Nice to talk to you.
Yeah, it's an exciting week for you, dude. Fair play to you. What are your thoughts on it, first of all?
Busy week for me, all right, because it's just me these days, so a lot of promo to do. But it's been about 7 years since I've put out new music. So new music with Faroon. I've been putting out new music with my other band as well. But the Faroon stuff has been in the background for the last few years, and then having a bit of time over lockdown, I had time to record it in the studio here. So it's long overdue to my mind.
Brilliant. So you have your own studio. How long did it take you to set that up, John?
So I am sitting in it now. Yeah, I have the great fortune really of having built a house in North Cork here about 5 years ago, and on the site there was an old 200-300-year-old cattle milking barn, effectively a stone barn. And once we saw the site on my wife's family land, we said we have to have this, and we'll renovate the barn. So basically, I'm sitting inside a big old building here now, and I'm actually up on what used to be a hayloft, kind of a first floor hayloft. So I've converted it really about two years ago now into a fully functioning man cave for parties, bar mitzvahs, and the whole lot. And it's a rehearsal room, and it's my drum kit is down there permanently mic'd up. My somewhat of a gym is down there, and there's a bathroom and a kitchen and stuff. And but it's also where I work from. I do my day job, particularly over the last 6 months, working from home here as well. But I was able to tip away at the recording then during the first 6 months of the year or so. So I got it done, and I had no interest really in having a label or anything behind it. It's just it's a passion project really. It's just for creativity and that really. So I just wanted to put it out there, and it's coming out this Thursday.
Yeah, it's called Elapse.
Elapse is the first one. Yeah. So I mean, it depends who you talk to, but I'm of the opinion these days that the album format is something from my youth really, and the last time I personally bought a CD was like 2003 or 4. I'd say I actually don't think I've bought a CD in so long. Wow. Everything it's just been so long, and a lot of that is down to my lifestyle and my day job. It just keeps me traveling a lot, so I listen to music off my phone or streaming, and I don't carry CDs around anymore. So the album format for me, I still listen to full albums, when I'm listening to music, and that's just where I come from. But I think in terms of releasing music, it may be kind of an odd thing to say for somebody who's creating music as well as listening to music. But the album format, particularly when you're self-releasing, it doesn't make sense, just to release. Like, I've got 8 songs done. I could put 8 songs out, this week, and then it would be forgotten about in a few weeks' time, particularly when there's no gigs going on at the moment, no touring to promote it. So I just figured, like what we did with my other band, The Grief, we recorded all the songs here in one go, and then we're breaking them up into 2 EPs, and I'm doing the very same thing with Faroon. So there'll be another EP this time. I think actually 4 or 5 songs coming out before the end of the year, I'd say.
Cool. And for people that don't know too much about Faroon, John, can you just give a brief overview on your releases and when you started up, which was a solo project?
Yeah, it started out as just me, and as it happens at the moment, it's just me. But in that almost 20 years in between, there was a few different lineups. But yeah, I've always been playing music really since I was about 15 or 16, playing in kind of indie rock bands, mostly as a drummer. And a lot of people in the metal scene probably wouldn't know me as a drummer really, I'd say. But that was the foot I came to first. And in about 99 or 2000 or so, I started, writing maybe, actually it's even before that, probably even about 95 or so. I started kind of moving away from exclusively drumming and playing more and more, heavier style guitars. And I recorded a first demo, a second demo, and a third demo between like 2003 and 2006. Put those out, and I moved away to Spain, and during that time as well, I recorded one of the demos while I was living there, and kind of came back, and in 2006 set up the first lineup, and we played some gigs, and mostly just around Ireland. And in 2007 or so, we signed in with Sentinel for the first album, and put that out. And
that was December, is it?
That was December and that came out in late 2007, I think. And that was kind of the second lineup of the band. And we kind of went on to a third lineup then for the second album, which is called Last Light, and that came out in 2009. And that's probably the one that did most for us, really. Did we put it out independently? I think we licensed it ultimately to a UK label called Casket, and that did pretty well for us. We got a hell of a lot of press out of that, a lot of coverage internationally out of it. We played London once on it, and that was a really nice peak, I'd say, in the band's kind of in the band's career in 2009. And then a few people kind of moved away and stuff. I mean, I'm still very, very close to all the guys who have been in the band, and some of them are my best friends still. And you know, people moved away. One went back to the States. One moved off to Spain and stuff. So, but before Pete Lawler moved to Spain, we recorded a third album called Latter Angelus, and Ronan Hayes was with us on that, and Pete Alcorn, who's the drummer for Ailstorm, before he kind of became fully involved with Ailstorm, he was drumming with us. So he's from up north, and but now obviously he's full time with Ailstorm, a real, you know, proper touring band, and so he couldn't dedicate time to us anymore. And after that album, really, to be honest with you, my day job kind of got so busy. I travel a lot. I could be in Korea one week and California the next. So I really had to, and I had to build a house in that time as well. And I just didn't have the time for it. So that brings us up to now, really. You know, there was a kind of a 7-year gap from 2013 up to now, where I didn't really do anything in terms of Faroon, and I was doing the Grief stuff on and off. And you know, we've had to stop that kind of rehearsals now since March as well. There, we were actually planning on rehearsing. We got Con Doyle joining us on drums in March, and then it just all stopped. But so that gave me time to pull together the Faroon stuff. The songs, some of the songs on the Faroon EPs coming out now are 4 and 5 years old. You know, I've been written for quite some time, but I just never had the time really to record them and actually dedicate time to work on them. So that's a long answer, but it's that's kind of the history really. I'd say it brings us right up to now.
Those previous releases, John, are they available? Can people get them?
The physical copies, no, they're actually all sold out, I think, at this stage. To be honest with you, I was cleaning out my stuff here recently, and I actually had to check the Bandcamp to see where they're still up there, because they were. But the physical copies are actually all sold out now. The digital copies are still there.
Okay,
but
cool.
I will probably, you know, what I'm thinking is what's currently in my mind is that, you know, depending on how it happens with the pandemic, and if we get back to gigging, I would run off some more CDs. I can do that, and certainly with the 2 EPs that I'm working on now, I would probably combine them into a single CD hard copy release, and I think that would make more sense. I don't think it makes sense to do a short run of 4 songs on an EP right now when I can't actually go out and promote them. So.
Okay, could you give us a brief overview of each song? So the opening track is Elapse.
Yeah, Elapse is actually the most recent song on it. It's just a almost instrumental track on it, and it's just a real up tempo kind of feeling of. It kind of reminds me of some of that mid to late 90s kind of In Flames meets Hypocrisy kind of style, which they're bands that I always loved, and that sound is still in me. And so that's just a short intro. I've always been a fan. All of the releases we've done over the years, they always have kind of short instrumentals. So that's the kind of pretty much instrumental one on this.
The single then, which is brilliant, Fuel to the Fire. Yeah,
Fuel to the Fire is a real, just a kind of a straight ahead Faroon song. It's got all the melodies. It's got the kind of fast midsection in it, a kind of a Rotten Christ vibe to it, which I'm always been a fan of, and it's got the melodies. But I think the most standout thing about the song, the most notable thing about it, is that for the first time in almost 20 years, it's got clean vocals on it as well. So having done 3 albums of screaming my head off, I was figuring, it's time. I always wanted to mix it up a bit, and I've played in pub bands, in pub trios for many years, singing everything from Sting to Lionel Richie to Van Morrison to whatever. So I've always been able to sing, but I just never felt it was right in Faroon. But I said, fuck it, it's time. And so there's some clean vocals in that, and it's not the only one that I've recorded now that's got clean singing in it.
Okay, cool. The Worm Turned?
So The Worm Turned is a real kind of, it's actually quite an old song. It's about 4 or 5 years old, and I've had various versions of it over the years, and it's got a lot of really melodic stuff on it, and a kind of a military style kind of intro to it. And I think it's got some clean vocals as well in it, maybe, and it's got a kind of a Chuck Schuldiner or death thing going on in some of the leads, which I've often had in the past as well. So it's again super melodic, and just a nice kind of counterpoint to what comes before it and after it, I'd say.
And the last song then is The Measure of a Man. Yeah,
so the Measure of a Man is maybe the most kind of progressive song in it, I would say. It's the longest track. It's got all clean singing in it. There's pretty much no growling on it, maybe in the background. And I collaborated with Steve Quinn, who plays in The Grief with me, and he plays in Corvona's course as well. He gave me some lyrical ideas for that, so that was nice to get something going there. But that's all clean singing, and that's the first time that's happened. So that's a nice step for us as well. But it's a really earworm. Anybody who's heard it has come back saying that's very different for you, and it's it's stuck in my head, which is something I always strive for.
Yeah, very much so. So you went then with Marco Tervonian, is it, to mix it?
Yeah, not to mix it, Marco.
Master. Sorry,
Marco mastered it. Yeah. So basically, I did all the recording and the mixing and stuff here, and that's my hobby. I'm just an audio guy. That's what I do when I have time. But Marco and I are buddies since about 95 or so. I know Marco a really long time, and I've only actually met him 3 or 4 times, but I was in Sweden for business back in last September, so I actually went and spent an evening with him and his family, and we're in touch every day, too many times a day. And so he and I actually were hoping to get a project going between us as well. That's something we're going to be hopefully doing when he gets done with the latest Crown recording, but that got pushed out. So we're hoping to come back to that. We're kind of looking for singers at the moment, but he's heard a bunch of my music and I've heard a bunch of his music, so we're working on something, but I said to him, look, we had asked Dan Swano to master the Grief EP earlier this year, and I wanted to get somebody different to do it. I loved what Dan did with the Grief stuff, but I felt that for the Faroon style, I wanted to get something a bit more. I mean, Marco's style. I mean, I've been listening to the Crown since their first album came out, and I know it well, and I trust him. He's another audio geek, so he has a mixing and mastering studio in his house. So I sent him a few tracks just as a trial. He mastered them. I loved it. And it was just done. It was just quick. And it's great to have him involved. And like I said, we're going to be working together anyway. So it just kind of made sense. Yeah, brilliant. And the final piece of the jigsaw is the artwork, which is absolutely jaw-dropping, to be fair. Yeah. Ken Coleman of Morbid Angel. Yeah. So I hadn't met Ken before, but I knew his stuff from Morbid Angel, obviously. But I had seen his artwork pop up on various things over the years, and it always, he had a lot of pieces that were kind of red. The tones them were kind of red, and I really liked them, including the Morbid Angel one. And I just really liked them. And if you look at any of the Faroon artwork going back, there was always a kind of a dominant color. Kind of 2 grey ones and a kind of a bluish one, and I wanted something just different in terms of the overall tone. I think maybe kind of taking a leaf from the Children of Bodom kind of, it's just really obvious, which album you're looking at when you see the color, the cover and the overall theme of it. So I wanted something kind of a different hue to it. So I just approached Ken there a few months ago when I told him that I was recording music, and he knows Faroon well. He said he was a fan of the band and stuff, so he was happy to be involved. So he showed me a few samples of pieces he had. I gave him the kind of ideas, the overall kind of themes that I had in the lyrics of time and just getting older and various other things. And that's why there's some kind of clockwork pieces and so on in the cover art there. And the second EP coming out as well has that kind of has a similar theme to it. But I was blown away by it myself. I think it's the best artwork I've ever had for any of the things I've been involved with. The Grief artwork actually is really nice as well. We picked some really nice pieces for that as well. But so I think we stepped up the art game. I think recently it's good. Yeah, and it represents the music as well. Crucially, I think so. Yeah, I think so. I had help as well. Mark O'Grady helped me a lot with all the layout. I'm eternally grateful to Mark, and he helped me with logo design ideas and things, and a lot of the typesetting and stuff, which I'm useless at. So I owe Mark a lot. And Pete made an appearance as well. Pete made an appearance. Pete, I was in touch with. I mean, I'm in touch with Pete and Drew and all those lads regularly, and I just said to Pete, Pete has an interface at home. He's sitting in his apartment working from home in Barcelona. I said, why don't you? Here's the song, and I gave him Measure of Man. He just said he was totally hooked on it, and so he'd heard my bass playing on it. I said, why don't you do something around that? You don't have to copy it. Just do what you like. And Pete sent me half a dozen ideas, and I just spliced them together. So yeah, it's really nice to have Pete on that. He's played bass on the last on the second and third album, and now he's playing on one of these songs. So hopefully, he can do something like that in the future as well.
Yeah, that's great, man. And for everybody, they can find it on Bandcamp, and it's been released this Thursday. Thursday,
it'll be carpet bombed everywhere. Yeah, it'll be on Spotify and iTunes and all those other things. And for people who want to support it directly, it's on Bandcamp, and I'll be putting it on YouTube and all of those kinds of things. And doing the usual things that we can do these days to promote it without gigs and doing guitar playthroughs and lyric videos, all that shit. I mean, it's content, but you got to do it. And hopefully get back to playing some gigs maybe next year. I mean, the last Faroon gig was actually in 2017. We played with Rod and Christ in Dublin, and the two Quinn brothers helped me out with that, and Steve O'Connell was on drums, and who knows what we'll do in the future, but hopefully we'll be able to get back to playing some gigs again.
Yeah, we might see you maybe in the Siege or something like our Monolith, maybe further down the line.
That would be a hope for sure. I was really looking forward to Monolith. I wanted to see Cancer, who I've never seen play, and I'm a big fan for many years, so I wanted to see them play, and I was really disgusted like everybody else that got pulled. But for sure, I mean, we'd like to get I'd like to get Grief out playing some music again and get Faroon up and running again. But how long is a piece of string? We don't know when that's going to happen.
Yeah, that's true. So listen, John Murphy from Faroon, thanks a million for coming on the Metal Cell and helping promote this. Really, I think it's an excellent EP, and it's great to have you back in the scene, man. You've been gone too long.
Gone too long. Well, hopefully the hiatus won't be as long. And thanks for your time, and thanks for everybody for staying with it and checking it out.
Okay, cool. Is there merchandising appearing with this, John, or
not at the moment? Maybe
not at the moment. Okay.
Maybe later in the year. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, who knows? You might get an offer there.
No.
And as he said, you can find the Faroon stuff on all the major Spotify, iTunes, and definitely check out Bandcamp this Thursday. Faroon Elapse EP is coming. Thank you, John.
Cheers, Richie.